Hey everybody, I'm ZombieJohnny. Today we're going to be taking a look at a manga that had some difficult beginnings, but in the end has one of the most recognizable characters in anime in North America. This is Trigun.
Trigun was written and illustrated by Yasuhiro Nightow and published by Darkhorse Comics. Trigun had an original run from 1995 to 1997. Trigun had some difficult beginnings. The shonen manga Monthly Shonen Captain was publishing Trigun's original run, but unfortunately the magazine was discontinued and Trigun was put on hiatus. The original run of Trigun was published into 2 volumes and released by Darkhorse Comics in North America in 2003 and 2004. This publication was just the beginning of the story of Vash the Stampede. The story of Trigun begins with the explanation of the destruction of the city named July. July was wiped off the face of the planet in just mere moments by the infamous Vash the Stampede. Vash has a $60 billion double dollar bounty on his head, and he is still at large. This human menace, Vash the Stampede, is sitting in a nice little cafe enjoying some delicious food as a caped man armed with a gun bursts in and blasts the cafe into oblivion. The man and his gang are obviously after Vash and his $60 billion double dollar bounty. The group appears to have been successful as Vash lies in a pool of blood on the floor. As the gang celebrates, the caped man cautiously approaches Vash's body, only to have Vash stick his finger in the barrel of his gun. Vash pops up and puts his arm around the group and thanks them for wanting to cover the costs of the damage they had done to the cafe. It appears that Vash had been covered in ketchup during the chaos, and that's why the group had thought he was dead. The group then tries to take him out once more, but Vash uses a young boy's pop gun to prove that he has the fastest hands on the planet. Vash had also made sure to count the bullets that the group of men had fired off and made sure they were completely out before taking all of their clothes and sending them on their way. After this altercation, you are introduced to 2 women, Meryl and Millie, who are from the Bernadelli Insurance Society, and they are trying to find Vash the Stampede. They are following his tracks and are led to the town where Vash is enjoying his meal at the cafe. It seems that the entire town has banded together to capture Vash and claim the bounty on his head. The entire town then wages an all-out war, trying to capture Vash. The head chairman of the town uses his last resort to try and capture Vash and unleashes the Nebraska family on him. The Nebraska family are very bad people who consist of a creepy mad scientist father and his giant mutated son. Ew. The Nebraska family unleash absolute hell on the town and the townspeople to capture Vash. Vash doesn't want to see any more of the townspeople get in harm's way, so he moves the injured to a safer place. Vash then squares off with the Nebraska family. The giant mutated son launches his fist to destroy Vash, but then Vash draws his gun and deflects the attack only to put one more bullet into the mechanical arm of the mutated son, knocking him out of commission. The mad scientist father then tries to blast Vash away, but Meryl and Millie subdue him. The townsfolk are happy that Vash had saved them from the Nebraska family and allow him to go free. Meryl and Millie then explain that they are going to be following Vash around making insurance claims on him for all the damage he causes. Just then, a large machine called a sand steamer pulls into town. Vash then quickly escapes from Meryl and Millie onto the sand steamer to continue on his journey. This is where our adventure begins. So in this review, I'm going to be covering the first 2 volumes in the story. The reason being is that Trigun was discontinued when Monthly Shonen Captain ceased publication. I'm going to start things off with Yasuhiro Nightow's artwork. It is outstanding. It is filled with tiny details and it never really feels like he phoned it in. His level of detail is consistent throughout the first 2 volumes and it is stunning. Vash's character design is probably one of the most recognizable designs in manga and anime. His giant red cloak with tattered edges, the buttons and buckles that cover his entire body, and Nightow never skips out on any of these details. He can illustrate very jagged and powerful details to put emphasis in the action, but he can also make lines that are smooth and relaxed, putting beauty in his line work as well. He is truly a master at his craft. Overall, the story of Trigun in the first volume just seems to be an adventure-by-adventure collection of Vash. The stories that are collected all seem to have a set ending, and then it shifts into the next adventure in Vash's story. Kind of an adventure of the week concept. Not until volume 2 does the story shift into a larger overarching story. The second volume opens up with the introduction of Vash's first big antagonist, Legato Bluesummers, and the group of assassins called the Gung Ho Guns. The first section of the story in Volume 2 also introduces Moan of the Gale, which is Vash's first big battle in the series. This is also the first time you get to see Vash in a different light. Vash becomes much more serious and deadly. He is pitted up against some of the gung-ho guns who are very formidable foes with very deadly techniques. Volume 2 has another major character introduction as well. This is by far my favorite character in the series, and many people can probably say the same thing for themselves. That character is Nicholas D. Wolfwood. Wolfwood is a priest who carries a giant cross on his back. This cross is a giant weapon that he will unveil to take out his enemies. Wolfwood is a total badass. So, the final arc in Volume 2 ends with Vash's Stampede disappearing in a massive explosion after the return of Vash's evil brother Knives. The story concludes after Meryl states that the last 2 years of Vash the Stampede's footsteps were erased from history. There is a little offshoot adventure at the end of Volume 2, and the story concludes with Vash exclaiming his famous tagline, "Love and Peace." And this is where the story ends. Vash has disappeared, and the magazine that was publishing the story of Vash has disappeared as well, leaving us all guessing and wondering whatever became of the story of Trigun. Ten months after the original run of Trigun in Shonen Captain magazine, the story was picked up and continued on in Young King Hours magazine, under the new title Trigun Maximum. Trigun Maximum had an original run from October of 1997 to March of 2007. The story of Trigun Maximum begins with Wolfwood entering a small, shabby little town. As Wolfwood orders some food, two people named Lena and Eric's burst into the bar. Lena is shouting about giving someone the beatdown and calls him, lolicon? Apparently it means someone with a Lolita complex? Ah, I see. Moments later, the person Lena gave the beatdown to is out for revenge. The group of bandits is apparently led by the one and only Vash the Stampede. The bandits are about to blow the bar into smithereens, but Eric's leaves the bar in hopes to defuse the situation so nobody will be harmed. Seems oddly familiar. The bad Vash then tells Eric's to take off his clothes and bark like a dog. Eric's disrobes in front of the bandits and exposes his body, which is covered in scars. Looks like Vash's body. The bad Vash then shoots Eric's and the bandits capture Lena and take off. Eric's is rushed to the hospital with Wolfwood at his side. Wolfwood then smacks Eric's to wake him up. And wouldn't you know it, turns out Eric's is Vash after all, and Wolfwood has been looking for him for the past 2 years. Wolfwood then drops Vash's gun onto his lap, saying that he has been holding onto it for him. Vash and Wolfwood head out to take on the bandits, and of course, they make quick work of them. Vash saves Lena, and they head back into town. Lena then gives Vash a nice new haircut, and they say their sad goodbyes. Wolfwood and Vash set out, and this is where our Maximum adventure begins. The Maximum side of the story turns from a fun little adventure into a much larger, darker story. The fun and lighthearted moments become less and less, and the serious, darker moments take over. It almost gets to the point where the story is so serious that it becomes boring. As the story goes on, I didn't find myself enjoying it as much as I did in the first few volumes. The story at times feels a little tedious, going from small town to small town and solving their problems until Vash reaches his final goal of taking on Knives. The story also feels scattered or maybe unorganized. It's all over the map, and to be honest, there are quite a few times I had no idea what was going on or what the end goal of the story was. To cap off the whole story, it ends in sort of an anticlimactic fashion. I was expecting a giant bloody battle, but the finale fizzles out pretty quick and doesn't really go in the direction that I had expected. The final pages tie a nice bow on top of things, which is to be expected, but throughout the series there was this build-up and build-up towards the final showdown, and nothing really happens. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a letdown. So this is a problem that I had throughout the entirety of the series. Nightow has a style where he doesn't include speech bubbles with the little pointy bit. What the hell is that thing called? Well, according to Wiki, it's called a tail. So anyway, Nightow doesn't use the tail, and oftentimes, to be honest, I found it difficult to tell who was talking. Despite its downfalls, I couldn't stop turning the pages because, like in Volume 1 and 2, Nightow's art is absolutely stunning, and this doesn't change in Trigun Maximum. No matter what is happening in the story, his art and line work are top-notch. So a huge thank you to Darkhorse for publishing it, but also a huge phew to Darkhorse for only publishing it for about 2 seconds. I have also read somewhere that they have zero intention of publishing any more copies as well. So in other words, good luck trying to find a copy. So huge shout out to Zach for lending me this omnibus collection. It feels odd looking at a set of manga that is worth over $1,200. But if it wasn't for Zach, I would not have had the opportunity to read this manga. So once again, thank you, Zach. So one big part of Trigun is that I feel it was brought into the spotlight for many North American kids through the anime. So let's talk about the Trigun anime. The anime was released from April to September of 1998. The series was animated by the studio Madhouse. If you think about 80s and 90s anime, Madhouse is that iconic golden era of anime. Just look up the wiki. There are countless anime titles that are considered to be the best of the best, and Madhouse handled so many of them. There are episodes of the anime that are pretty much panel-to-panel recreations of the manga, but I felt that the anime didn't have the same amount of grit that the manga did. There are some scenes of intense gore in the manga, but the anime kept it pretty safe. Just some scenes with a small amount of blood. The production quality of the anime never felt too high either. It was pretty good at times, but most of the time it did feel like they were on a really tight budget. The anime doesn't really feel like it starts until about halfway through the series, not until the episode titled Diablo, which is the episode that features Moan of the Gale. Much like the manga, it's scattered all over the place until Vash meets his first major antagonist, Legato Blue Summers. The storyline of the anime doesn't bear too many similarities to the manga. It follows some basic premises, but overall the anime is merely based off the concept of the manga. This is probably because the manga was still being published while the anime was airing on TV. I'm also guessing because of the budget that they decided to make their own storyline and have some basic storylines of the source material. And much like the manga, the anime series ends in a pretty anticlimactic fashion. Now, there is a new Trigun anime series out called Trigun Stampede. Now, I haven't watched any episodes, but the troubling thing to me is that it seems to be running away from the old Western feel and moving more towards a young, hip, fresh and cool feel. Vash has larger pink-colored glasses, a hip new age Japanese idol haircut, his metal arm seems to look like something from Full Metal Alchemist, and his jacket. His jacket is probably the most disappointing feature. Well, that and the spiky golden hairdo, but they've replaced it with what seems to be a sleeveless hoodie, and it wouldn't surprise me if Vash is wearing tight sweatpants and sneakers. I can't exactly tell here, but I'm getting the feeling that I'm right on the nose with this one. I can see a touch of ankle at the bottom of his pants. It looks like joggers and high tops. The animation style really reminds me of a video game trailer. Maybe even something like Guilty Gear. It has that cel-shaded look and is very obviously 3D. I'm really starting to dislike anime for this fact. What happened to the good old days of 2D animation? This new wave of 3D anime just doesn't feel right. It feels dishonest, or dare I say, inauthentic. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something just doesn't feel right about this. Maybe I'm too quick to judge. I guess I'll have to wait and see what it's like, and I'll give you my actual opinion at that time. Overall, Trigun is a wonderful series, even though it does have its downfalls. I believe that Trigun is a worthwhile series, the anime and manga alike. I have to say good luck out there finding a copy of the manga. As I said it before, it is currently out of print and is a pretty penny to own it. On the other hand, the anime is easily accessible and it's worth the watch. Total volumes, 6 omnibus editions or 16 manga volumes. Total page count, 3,764. Total score, 3 out of 5.
Well, thank you so much for watching, and cheers everybody, it's 2023. Thank you so much for watching. I have to admit, this review has been a long time in the making. It is by far the longest review I've done, and it is also the review that I put the most effort into. So thank you so much for watching, and it has taken some time to get this one done. And I'm very grateful to Zach. Once I mentioned it once already, but I'm very grateful to Zach for allowing me to to borrow his omnibus collection, which, like I said, is very expensive. And I'm also thankful for everyone who has subscribed and watched all of my videos. Everything is just wonderful, and I can't show enough gratitude to everybody. I do have something. I have a little something to show some gratitude, and it is a Funimation digital download code for an anime that I just finished recently, and that anime was Samurai Champloo. So just below me here, I will put the download code here somewhere, and first come, first serve. Whoever gets the download code first, you're welcome, and thank you so much for watching. And this is just my little way of showing my gratitude. I have a couple other download codes, so hopefully in the next few videos I will put them in the same spot. And once again, it will be first come, first serve. And thank you so much. I talked about the anime briefly in the review, and anime has been a very big part of my life for a very long time, and manga has been a big part of my life for a very long time as well. And I just wanted to mention that the anime was one of those very sought after things in North America, especially during my childhood. I was probably like in grade 6 or 7, and there was like the top 3 anime, and I actually own the collections here, and I will show them to you. I own the collections, and it's taken me some time because they weren't released up until just a few years ago. But these were like the epitome, the top 3 anime of my childhood, and they were like the anime that kind of broke through in North America, that really established the anime scene here in North America. So this is the top 3. I mean, of course there are many more, but this is my personal top 3. So here we go. We've got Outlaw Star. If you have not seen this series, I suggest you find yourself a copy. This is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack. Gene Starwind, amazing opening theme song, is a banger, much like the other 2 series that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, Outlaw Star. If you can find a copy of it, I think there's just a Blu-ray release. I bought the Blu-ray DVD complete box set, but if you can find the Blu-ray, just buy it. It's probably on Funimation as well, because this is released by Funimation, of course. Anyway, if you can find it, get that. Up next, another banger of a theme song. Also another banger of a series, which is Shinichiro Watanabe, who is the guy who is the director of this download code, Samurai Champloo. Cowboy Bebop, same guy, made the same series. Banger of an opener, banger of a series. Come on, like, this is probably one of the most recognizable and the epitome of 90s anime. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's not even anime fans need to watch this. Like, everybody needs to watch this. It's an amazing series. Blu-ray copy. Yeah, complete series. It's on, I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. It's probably on Funimation. It's very accessible, very popular. Watch it. And, of course, top 3 anime of my childhood. The next one is what we talked about this evening, Trigun. Definitely watch it. It is definitely something worth watching. It is a DVD collection. I picked this one up for quite cheap. The publishing company is Anime Classics, I believe. Yeah. And it's fairly easy to find. Back in my childhood, these 3 series in general were very difficult to come across. You had to buy VHS tapes. Generally, the VHS tapes would be 1 or 2 episodes, and they would cost a very pretty penny. So anime nowadays is very accessible, and a lot of people have a lot of anime collections that are worth watching, and this is my top 3. I would suggest you watch any one of these in any order that you please. Oddly enough, they are all very similar space bounty hunters, adventure, Western space bounty hunter, Western space. All very similar, but and they all came out in the same era. I'm not sure if they're all done by the same animation studio, but I don't believe so. Maybe Star and Trigun. I'll have to look into that. Someone in the comments, let us know. Star, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop. Probably not all done by the same studio. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. 2023 is going to be an amazing year. I'm ZombieJohnny. Peace.